You're listening to Off the Court, a show dedicated to making you the best version of yourself as an athlete and as a person. I'm Coach Jack, CEO and owner of Close the Gate Hoops. If you want to take your life and game to the next level, this is the podcast for you. Let's get it. Gatekeepers, how we doing? Back at you with another episode of Off the Court. Today we got episode 14, Miracle Morning. And this is a book I read recently. I actually listened to it, and we'll talk about that more later. But it's actually already been being applied to my daily life and my morning routine. And everyone that knows me knows that I'm a huge morning person and a huge advocate for mornings, because that's the time of the day where you're most productive. And I'm obsessed with becoming more efficient with my productivity so I can maximize my time every single day I'm on this earth. Recap of a last episode, episode 13, with one of my best buddies, Kincaid. It was surprisingly a really good episode when we recorded it. We actually didn't know if we were going to post it or not. We were kind of feel it out and see what happens. And yeah, I think he was satisfied with what came out, and I was also. I thought he did a really good job. He's just a natural speaker, so we can learn a lot of things from Kincaid and his true, genuine care for other people. We are about to topple over 2,000 downloads. I strongly urge you, gatekeepers, if this podcast has affected you, please text me or direct message any of our social media platforms or any of the other coaches, and Coach Connor, Coach Aaron, or even our video producer Ike, because those texts, those mean a lot to me in terms of motivation and making me want to keep going and keep working harder, keep finding ways to get better, constantly improving. But there's nothing better than getting a text from a kid and seeing that you affected their life without you even knowing, because people are listening to Off the Court all throughout the day, but I don't know who it is or which episode they're listening to. But sometimes I'll get a text randomly and it's like, dude, you changed what I was doing throughout my life, and you affected a certain situation. I won't say this person's name on the podcast, but I had a person DM me about the previous episode, in episode 12, about I Am My Father's Legacy. And he said he was urged to tell his 95-year-old grandmother that he loved him. And they were choked up about it, but he said it was a really good, deep, meaningful experience with his grandmother. And see, things like that, that's just crazy that something like this basketball podcast can apply to everyone. And it just truly, it does exactly what it says it does in our intro, and it's aiming to make you the best possible person and player you can be. And the aspect of life is the most overlooked thing in sports and all the things that it can teach us. But that message from them really made me very motivated. It makes me want to keep going, and just knowing that type of influence is being had on people through Off the Court. If this podcast has had influence on you, let us know, and let your friends know too. Don't leave your friends hanging, or other people that could possibly benefit from this podcast. We're all here to make each other better around us, okay? We want to make everyone else better, not just ourselves. We don't want to keep it to ourselves from other people. Try and share it with other people so we can influence as many lives as possible. If you have not checked out our Ctg Shooting Academy, I strongly urge you to do so. It's the perfect blend of the knowledge, the drills, and the mindset necessary to become an elite shooter. It would fill an entire notebook if you took detailed notes throughout the entire program. We give you shooting workouts, all the drills needed, everything you need to know about the mechanics side of basketball, and also the mindset, which is the most overlooked part of shooting a basketball. If you're interested in training, we are almost done with upgrading our website. That's going to make it so easy to sign up for new trainings and start getting signups for our 3v3 league. We're looking at projections of over 200 students for the summer. We are already at 100 plus students in group training, and that's with limited space and limited groups. So we have about like 4 players for a group session. In 3v3, it'll be like 8 players per group session. So it could be ridiculous, the amount of kids that come into CTG this summer, which I'm extremely excited for, because the more the merrier. We're trying to get you better in all facets of your life. But if you're interested in training, make sure you text me or reach out to any of the coaches. We'll put you on the wait list, and the wait list, it flies by. We've been doing a great job of constantly moving around times and grouping people together that are around the same age and skill, so that we can keep opening up slots for other people. But yeah, we got over 100 students right now. We got over 30 on the waiting list. So it's been a 400% increase in customers since We started about 7 months ago. So that's pretty exciting news, and I'm super excited for the 3-on-3 league this summer. Make sure you're not missing out, and make sure you're telling your friends about this too. You don't want to leave them hanging. I seriously think it's an amazing opportunity for your kid or any of your friends to get better at basketball and to become better people. But yes, watch out for 3v3. That's going to be huge this summer. So let's dive right into it. The Miracle Morning. So what is that? So obviously I'm always looking up on Google the best productivity books to read, and I'm obsessed with Amazon Audible. And if you don't know what Amazon Audible it is, it's basically like podcasts, but they're books. So they're audio books. But I listen to them like they're podcasts. So normally I listen to podcasts when I go on walk with my dog Fletcher or whenever I'm in the car. Well, now I've transferred into books, which I honestly find much more productive because it's more focused and more centralized on whatever I'm trying to acquire knowledge and information on. But Miracle Morning was one of the things that popped up, and it's basically like how to own your day and how to start your day every single day for maximum productivity and happiness throughout your day. I wanted to talk to you gatekeepers about Amazon Audible. I know a lot of you don't like to read. I did not like to read when I was a kid, and now that's literally all I want to do because I'm obsessed with becoming a more intelligent human, because the more you know in this world, the better you're going to be at whatever you do. So I'm obsessed on the personal growth aspect of reading and obviously the basketball side of reading, so I can become my best self and then obviously become the best trainer I can be so I can make kids really good. You obviously can't try and acquire all information, because if you try and chase 2 rabbits, you're going to catch 0. So you need to find and focus on the things that really matter to you and what you need, and chase that 1 rabbit and then acquire that 1 rabbit. It's about what you need. It's not what you want, because your brain does have a limited amount of space on what it can retain. Don't try and overflow your brain with useless information that you're not going to apply, because it's all about what you're going to apply. But try not to waste brain space in terms of what you're trying to learn, and try and find that passion to where it doesn't even feel like work. It's just something you really crave to do. But I strongly urge you gatekeepers to start using Amazon Audible. It's like $15 for a book, but what I do, most people won't be able to do this, but I always terms it on ×2 speeds. So it's like a 20-hour audiobook. That'll only take 10 hours for me to read, and I'll pump out a huge book in like 4 or 5 days because I'm listening to it on Audible. And yes, you're not going to retain as much information if you listen, but that's why I'll just re-listen as I go through all these books. Reading is definitely a better option, but when I'm on the go, I'm always trying to maximize productivity. So like when I'm in a car walking my dog, I love Amazon Audible as an option to acquire more specialized knowledge and information. So I strongly urge you gatekeepers, get an Audible subscription and start listening to as many books as possible. Knowledge is king in this world, okay? When you get out of high school and college, your GPA, you stop talking about your GPA. I remember in high school and college, all you do, what's your GPA? And you'd obviously talk about that. Well, once you get out of college, nobody's asking what their GPA is, okay? That doesn't matter. It's about the knowledge you actually have. So what the Miracle Morning is. So the analogy for this book, they call it savers, okay? So the first, for the S, is silence. For the A, it's affirmations. For the V, it's visualization. For the E, it's exercise. For R, it's reading. And for S, it's scribing. And you're supposed to do this all before you start your day and start looking at your phone and things of that nature that start to distract you, or email, for example. And so I've started applying this to my daily morning for about the last 2-3 weeks, and it has been absolutely nuts, the crazy amount of productivity increase that I've had, and even more stuff that I've had to get done. So I thought I used to wake up early. Before Miracle Morning, I think I used to wake up at like 4 o'clock, maybe a little after 4 o'clock, somewhere around 4 o'clock. Well, now I'm waking up at around 2:40 a.m. every morning because I work at 5 a.m. I work 5 to 7 or 5 to 8 every morning with high school older kids that obviously can drive to morning workouts. We don't want to make their parents get up at 5 a.m. But I work out before I do the 5 a.m. workout, so I obviously have to get up at 2:40 a.m. But when I get done with work, I get home probably like say 8:30. I've already been up for 6 hours, and I'm looking at the clock. It's like 8:30, and I'm like, I've been up for 6 hours. I've worked 3 people out, and I've already got my own workout in, and it's still 8:30. And I just love that feeling because I've gotten so much done and it's just the beginning of the day. Your most productive time is before everyone wakes up. And I know some of you aren't morning people, gatekeepers, but I strongly urge you, try to wake up 5 minutes earlier each day and see what happens. And one thing this book, Miracle Morning, taught me is that sleep is mental. Okay, because I'm sure you've heard before that some people need so and so hours of sleep and some people might need more hours of sleep. Well, it's not about the actual physical aspect of how many hours you get. It's more about your mentality about how many hours you think you need. So say I go to bed at 10 o'clock and I wake up at 2:40. My mentality is I'm going to be excited no matter what amount of hours of sleep I get because I know I'm going to be working with my passion tomorrow and I'm going to be ready to get better. What I used to think, say, if I ever would have woke up at 2:40 a year ago, I would just be completely drained and tired by waking up that time because what my mindset would be is like, wow, I'm only getting 5 hours of sleep tonight. I'm going to be so tired tomorrow morning. See, that mentality, again, perception is reality, but it's crazy. This dude, he hacked the system with sleep. You can't wake up with the mentality that the hours is going to affect how you feel the next day because it's about your excitement the next day. That's what matters and what you're going to be doing. So like right now, I woke up at 2:40. I'm recording this podcast at 11 a.m. and I feel great. And I probably drank 2 cups of coffee on average a day. So it's not like I'm going crazy with caffeine or anything. It's all about your mentality about sleep and your excitement throughout your day. But one thing to consider, I'm not saying gatekeepers do not get any sleep. I definitely don't get enough sleep. One thing that sleep is very good for is muscle recovery also. So that's something I'm going to be careful with. I'll probably take more naps throughout the day so that my muscles do get the necessary rest in terms of sleep because our body produces certain nutrients when we're in deep sleep for our muscles to recover faster and to grow. Because obviously when you work out or you shoot, you lift, you're building new muscle memory and you're tearing down new muscles to obviously rebuild something. So rest is very important for that. But in terms of energy levels, sleep's all mental. Okay. To say you need this amount of sleep every night to feel awake the next morning is a complete myth. Okay. That's complete bull. It's all about your mentality going into it. When you wake up, if you go to bed knowing you're going to wake up excited, I guarantee you will wake up excited. But if you go to bed thinking, oh, I'm going to be so tired tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up tired. It's all about your perception of the hours of sleep you get in terms of energy levels. Now, in terms of muscle recovery, that's a different story. I'm not saying don't get a lot of sleep, but you definitely, if you're a younger kid, 8 hours that's definitely a good benchmark to live by. Over time, I've just gotten less and less sleep, and my energy levels have gone up and up and up. A lot of that has to do with excitement and close the gate, but that's showing me that the mental side and this guy's theory behind that is way more true than saying you need a certain amount of hours of sleep to have good energy levels. So I want to talk to you guys about that, gatekeepers. Just remember that sleep is mental and try that before you go to bed at night. Be like, I'm going to wake up excited and awake tomorrow because sleep's mental. The perfect amount of hours doesn't matter for my energy levels. And I want to see if some gatekeepers wake up early tomorrow morning. Text me if you do and if it does affect you. But some of my students, I work them out at 5 a.m. and I'll ask them how they're doing. And most of them, after I told them the sleep is mental, they're like, yeah, dude, I'm awake right now because I went in with the mentality that I was going to be excited for this workout and the hours of sleep I got wasn't going to matter towards my energy levels. So I strongly urge you gatekeepers, wake up 5 minutes early each day. See if you can wake up earlier in the morning and remember that sleep is mental. Okay. So when I do wake up at 2:40 a.m., okay, so that's my wake up call with my alarm. I do not check my phone for at least an hour. Okay. I do not check my phone. So anytime you check your phone or your email right when you wake up in the morning, you're already distracting your brain and letting it think about things as you do your work. So say you check email right in the morning or text, which is what most people do. Say you put that phone down after you just looked at all those emails and texts. Well, your brain's still processing all that distracted information. If you don't look at your phone, you're going to be 100% focused on whatever you try and do, which is going to drastically increase your productivity. So I wake up at 2:40 a.m. every morning. I get up and I immediately start practicing silence, which is the S in the Savers of the Miracle Morning book. And silence is basically, there's a couple things that you can do. You could do meditating, yoga, prayer, just controlling of breath. And for this section, I normally do yoga and meditating for about 5 minutes at the same time. So I'll be doing like toe squats, meaning I'll sit on my toes to stretch my ankle, or Pegasus sits, which is stretching out my hip flexors, getting me awake. But as I do these yoga moves, I'm only focusing on my breath. So in my head, when I go in for my breath, I'm thinking in as I inhale and then out as I exhale. And I would count 1. And I would do so many amount of breaths for whichever exercise. So say I did 25 for each one. I would be only focusing on those breaths as I meditate. And I've talked about this in previous episodes. Meditating is huge for not only basketball players, but for people as well. It drastically increases your sense of focus. And for basketball players, it's going to help you get into the zone faster, which is basically that unconscious feeling where you don't miss any shots. So the first thing I do for about 5 minutes is silence. So I do yoga and meditation at the same time. Okay. The second thing I do is then affirmations. So what affirmations are, you guys, are basically repeated and thoughtful writing. And what that means is, I'm sure you've probably seen some people talk. I don't do out loud affirmations. I do written affirmations, but some people do out loud affirmations, meaning they'll look in the mirror and they'll repeat the saying to themselves. Okay. So the 2 affirmations that I write every morning are 2 of my dad's most used quotes when we were growing up as a kid. And the first one was, do your best, forget the rest. So I'll write this 5 times in my notebook. Okay. I'll write, do your best, forget the rest. But I'm not mindlessly writing this. I'm thinking about what I'm writing. So if I know I do my best and forget the rest, there should be 0 stress throughout my day. So that's why I love starting with this one with one of my affirmations. And I write it down 5 times and I'm thinking about it when I write it. Don't mindlessly write it thinking about something else. You're thinking about doing your best and forget the rest. Now, what affirmations do when I'm going throughout my day and I come through a stressful situation and I'm like, and then this affirmation will pop into your head and you're like, do your best, forget the rest. If I do my best, I have nothing to stress about because I'll have no regrets because I did my best. That's what affirmations can do. So it's really basically instilling that reality from perception. The second one I do is adapt and overcome. So that's another thing my dad used to say all the time, is adapting and overcoming, because life's always going to be throwing things at you for something to go wrong. Okay, that's what life's always doing to us. You have to have the ability to adapt and overcome. So I'll write adapt and overcome in my notebook about 5 times, but I'm thinking about it as I do it. So I'm going adapt and overcome, but I'm consciously thinking of what that feels and looks like. But then when I come into a situation, say workout gets double booked by accidental. So we've got like 8 kids in one half court and that's just not going to work right now because I didn't plan for that. I got to adapt and overcome. So my adapt and overcome for that situation, if that did happen to Ctg as a business, I would offer a free workout to one of them and I would have to say, one of your group has to leave because we accidentally double booked it, but we're going to give you a free workout so that you didn't waste time coming here. That would be an example of adapting and overcoming, and my affirmation coming to light later throughout my day. So what these affirmations do, basically, it gets you prepared for whatever situation you're writing down. So those are the 2 I have right now, and I urge you to pick a couple. Don't pick too many, because if you have too many, you're not going to remember all the affirmations throughout your day. Hyper focus on a couple for a few weeks and then maybe find some new ones. But they could be any motivational quotes. Like one weight trainer I love to listen to is PJ Performance. Okay, I think he's a really smart dude, and his studies are very innovative. But one of his sayings is, you can't cheat the grind. So maybe one of you could write down in your affirmations 5 times, you can't cheat the grind. You can't cheat the grind. And then when you go to your workouts, say you're doing sprints or something, and you want to stop, you got 2 sprints left and you want to stop, this affirmation is going to pop up in your head. You can't cheat the grind. You can't cheat the grind. So affirmations are extremely powerful. And I didn't even know what these were before Miracle Morning. And that's something that I can totally tell a difference throughout my day since I started doing affirmations. Okay. Up next, we have visualization, which is the V in Savers. Visualization. Now, this might be one of the most key things to becoming successful in whatever you're doing, whether it's basketball or your job or anything throughout your life. And this is something I know I need to get better at, but as I've been practicing it through this Miracle Morning, I'm already seeing some crazy transformations. And one of the books that I have been reading that isn't Miracle Morning was called Think or Grow Rich. And his basically spiel of the whole book, and a ton of it was visualization. So basically thinking and feeling that you're already in possession of what you already want. So that's basically visualizing something. So after I do my meditation and affirmations, I then immediately sit down crisscross-legged and I close my eyes. And when I visualize, the first thing I think about is my workout in the morning. So I'm thinking about going to my workout and giving max intent on every single rep. I can see myself dripping in sweat. I feel that sweat dripping down my body. I can feel the weight as I'm moving it in my head. So when you visualize something, try and visualize senses too, meaning what you see, what you feel, what you taste, what you touch, what you smell. All those things make you a better visualizer, making it more likely for whatever you're visualizing to happen. So I'm visualizing my workout, and then I visualize my day. I'm having fun training kids, maybe giving them a life coaching lesson. But I go through that in my head, and I try and feel that situation the way I want it to happen. Then after I do that, then I start thinking about future visualizations. So we won't go into any details about it right now, but Ctg is definitely close to coming up with a facility built, and it's gonna be pretty dang sweet, and I'm really excited for it. But I imagine myself in that facility, building it, training in it, and I visualize thinking of how fun it would feel to do that, and what I see, what my vision is, things of that nature. But you have to feel it, you have to smell it, you have to taste it, you have to see it, all those things as you're visualizing, because it's going to be more likely for that to happen if I do this visualization. Okay, after I'm doing that, then maybe I'll do some more future visualizations, like playing college ball again. Like as a kid, I used to visualize about buzzer beaters all the time. And guess what happened when I was a junior and senior in high school? I had 2 buzzer beaters. So I had one buzzer beater when I was in a junior at Madison East, and it was to win the game. We were down to Jake Lynch threw a full court pass to Sevi. Sevi caught it. We had 1.6 seconds left. He passed to me and I shot it. It was actually late, but they said it was good, so it counts because the ref said it counts. That was my first buzzer beater, and the second buzzer beater was at Craig against Economawalk. We were down 2 again. I set a backdoor screen on Jacob Lynch, and they all thought we were going to give the ball to Lynch since it was a 2-point game. I popped out for 3, had a wide open shot, and nailed it. And then obviously the best part about that one was because the crowd was right behind us. So that was a great experience. But that all happened because I visualized it before it happened when I was a kid. So I made it into reality by feeling what that moment would be like. And my mentality before both those buzzer beaters is I wanted the ball. I wasn't scared of it. I wanted the ball in that situation, and I visualized me making it in that moment. So like right before the ball was checked in at the East game, I remember thinking about the ball going in when I hit this buzzer beater. And I remember feeling like it wasn't even real because I just thought of it in my head and then it happened. So it was such a weird feeling when those two things actually come together. You hear NBA players talk about all the time the free throw line. They visualize, feel what it's like, see what it's like, hear what it's like when you swish a basketball at the free throw line. So they're visualizing this before they shoot it, making it much more likely for them to make it. So visualization is key to making you more successful in whatever you want to do and increase the likelihood of it actually happening. So it's great for basketball players to visualize makes, visualize key moments and key experiences happening, like buzzer beaters or at the free throw line, and then just life in general at your job. You visualize yourself dominating your career, things of that nature. You visualize yourself as a family man, raising a huge family. That type of visualization is going to make your dream life much more likely to occur. So I encourage all of you gatekeepers to start practicing the art of visualization to make the likelihood of all your dreams come true. Now, what's next in Savers is the E, which is exercise, okay? So after I've done my silence, affirmations, and visualizations, normally I exercise last out of the Savers just because I go to the athletic club right now to work out. I'm currently experimenting with genetic potential and how I can try and reach my max potential in terms of jumping and explosion. So I normally exercise last because I have to leave my house to do it. But I normally get to the athletic club about 3:30 a.m., work out from 3:30 to 4:30, and then I go to the MMPR to work out my high school kids 5 to 8 a.m. So exercise, that's the last thing we do. The R in Savers is reading, okay? So I currently have a daily devotional. So normally after visualizing, I go to my daily devotional. I read that. Basically, it's motivation and interprets Bible stories and how you can apply it to your real life. And it's actually funny, the last like 3 devotionals I've had has been all about failure. And obviously God's plan isn't always going to be perfect in what you want, but he's actually making you better by giving you all these hardships, which is really funny because that's all about chase failure, right? We become better people through the failure that we chase. I encourage you gatekeepers to read 10 pages of one book before you go to bed and right after you wake up, because if you read right before you go to bed, your brain's still processing that information when you sleep. So you actually retain more as you do that. But if you do this, on average, you'd finish 24 books in an entire year if you just read 10 pages of a book in the morning and at night. Because on average, a book's like 200 to 250 pages. That's how I did the math. Over 12 months of a span of that, each day would be around 24 books on average. So I encourage you gatekeepers to try and do just 10 pages. 10 pages. That's what, 15 to 20 minutes if you're a slow reader. Try and do that right after your visualization to become a smarter person. Knowledge is king in this world. It's all about what you know that gives you the advantage over whatever you're doing. After reading, it's all about scribing, and my gatekeepers know I am obsessed with scribing and productivity notebooks, okay? I'm constantly writing. I scribe throughout my entire day. Any type of new thought that I have in my brain or idea, I write it down instantly. And sometimes I don't write it down because I don't have my notebook, but I'll write it in my iPhone notes and then rewrite it in my notebook later. But I literally write 50 to 100 thoughts a day. I probably write down in my notebook. But I'm constantly writing down, so I retain that thought. If I never wrote it down, I guarantee you I'd forget it. That's also why I always forget what I'm thinking about, because I always have like a million things in my head going at the same time. So I definitely need to get better at that, because multitasking is actually bad for you. It just hurts whatever you're trying to multitask. If you just focused on one, you'd actually do a much better job. So I do have to do a better job of that. But in scribing, you always should be planning and doing your productivity notebook, writing down what you're doing productive, writing down what you're not doing productive, and you should be planning your day out. Don't go into a shooting workout and have no idea what you're going to do until you get there. Plan what your shooting workout is before. You're going to work out, you're going to the weight room to work out. You have to plan the lifts that you're going to do before you get there. Don't get there and be like, all right, I think I'm going to feel like I'm doing this today. Without a plan, you have no destination. Okay, I'm sure some of you have heard Warren Buffett say this, but an idiot with a plan can beat a genius without a plan. And that's so true. You need to start planning more to work hard and smart together. Improve more efficiently. That's what we're going for. Everyone gets better. The most successful people get better faster. And I always rewrite my goals and motivation, so it keeps me motivated. It keeps me wanting to keep going, lights that fire under me. And by rewriting my goals, it's kind of like visualization. They're more likely to achieve. I have to ingrain it in my brain. If I asked you what your goal right now was, gatekeepers, you better know what that is. It should not take you a few seconds to think about it. It should be like instant snap of a finger. You know what that is because you're working for it every single day. So all in all, gatekeepers, miracle morning savers. So the first S is silence. I normally meditate and yoga at the same time. Affirmations, so they're repeated and thoughtful writing. My 2 affirmations right now: do your best, forget the rest, and adapt and overcome. Visualization is the V. E is exercise. R is reading. S is scribing. So through all the savers in my morning, I normally wake up at 2:40 a.m. I'm done with all the savers except for exercise by about 3:20 a.m. And it's crazy the feeling you get after doing this. And then you go to your exercise and you're done about 4:30. But you get all of these things done. I woke up at 2:40. I'm going to be done with savers by 4:30 a.m. And then I go to work. That is an extremely productive morning. And by no means, gatekeepers, am I thinking any of you are going to wake up at 2:40 a.m. That's ridiculously extreme. And I would never expect any of you to do that. But I do challenge you to try and wake up 5 minutes earlier each day. And remember that it's all about the mentality. It's all about how you wake up. If you think You're not a morning person? Well, no, you're not a morning person because you think that you're not a morning person. Your mentality is you need more sleep than other people, so you're going to wake up tired if you don't get enough sleep. It's all about your mentality. And by no means am I saying become sleep deprived, okay? Still get a decent amount of sleep. Take naps if you don't get enough sleep throughout the night. That's what I do. So you can still have your muscles recover. But the morning, this is your window of no distraction. Okay, and the earlier you wake up, the more no distraction you have and the more productive and faster improving that you are going to be. So I encourage you, gatekeepers, check out this Miracle Morning book and start applying this to your morning each day, and you are going to see crazy changes throughout your life. And this is for all my students, younger kids, but also adults as well. I guarantee you're going to start feeling better about yourself if you apply this Miracle Morning. I seriously think it will change your life. So I challenge you, gatekeepers, to start doing this today. Wake up 5 minutes earlier each day. You're going to get so much more done without distraction. Start waking up early. The last thing I do too that I forgot to talk about that I do right when I wake up is to slam a huge glass of water. So when you go all that time without sleeping, you have no water in your system, so you're actually dehydrated. If you slam a glass of water right after you wake up, you're actually going to get energy from that. So it's almost like a cup of coffee when you slam that water right after you woke up. Thanks for tuning in, gatekeepers. I'm extremely excited to keep pumping out these podcasts and influencing your life for the better. Start applying the Miracle Morning today. I'm Coach Jack. We out, baby. Peace.